James Ben, and my sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jim's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon.
Good morning, everybody. It is Two Queers in Truck time. It's Jenny and Christian, and we're dancing out a little bit. It's a party month for Christian, or at least in a couple
Dance
days.
with my bros.
Yeah. So for people who can't see the screen, for people listening on a podcast, we have a picture we put on Facebook that has Trump and Putin in kind of a gay pride marching garb with two penis sickles or two penis lollipops, penis-shaped ones.
Is that what those are?
Well, they look a lot like it. They may just
That's what they are.
They may just be luggage, like two little sacks. But
Exactly.
it looks awful like a little penises.
That's right.
But this is Two Queers in a Truck. So you wouldn't expect any laugh. But yeah, the news out there is ripe for the picking, and we'll jump right into it. I don't even really know who Michael Knowles is, but he's saying some pretty idiotic stuff. Like it just sounds stupid when people are commenting back. He's going off. He's another one of these, conservative talking head, and there's so many of them. I've lost track, but now they're to the point. This is too funny. You're turned around and reaching back. I did almost look like you're reaching back. Yeah, you're on camera. We're live.
Sorry
to disturb whatever you're doing, but we're kind of filming here.
Yeah.
We're kind of filming here. My crackhead co-host is reaching around towards Trump's little penis sickle. But anyway, for the people watching, I think it's got a good laugh because your hand was exactly where Trump's penis sickle is. So, but yeah, it was quite the graphic. Yeah, muy poquito. But anyway, Michael Knowles is an idiot, even though commenting about you is actually funnier. One of his takes here lately, and I guess he's not well in the head, is that legalizing gay marriage in 2015 is what has led to all the transitioning of gay kids. He says condoms are too gay. He is trying to push to get rid of contraceptives. So I guess he wants more pregnancies. I guess this is the goal. But yet at the same time, he has been in some conservative events he is photographed with a MAGA drag queen that has like a MAGA sash across her chest. He's been pictured in the bed. He's done some selfies with another gay guy. And I'm assuming Michael Knowles is just another one of those conservative in the closet dudes. And you got to wonder what the payoff is for a down low gay dude to be talking about contraceptives. Like, why would it matter to you? I mean, even think about it. If you are predominantly having gay sex, there's no butt babies. You don't have to worry about pregnancy. So what is it to you why you're so worried about contraceptives? Like that, like that would be like people worried about equestrian things and horses, and you've never owned a horse. Like it doesn't. Where's the payoff? You know, and I think it's kind of funny because I mean, he's a big old queen. He goes off on his little show, and he's talking just rambling about stuff. I guess he hears what some of the other conservative chatter is, because he's an idiot and he doesn't know to come up with some original material. He just sits there and rips on whatever the thing, and I'm going, you know, maybe you should figure out what you really want to say and come back to us. Maybe not do a show right now. It's like go rest your head somewhere or soak it in some water. He's just not the smartest tool. I mean, you know, I don't know about Christian, this is, do you ever sit up at night worrying about contraception? Like, I mean,
well, yeah, but you know, I mean, you have a good point, Jenny. But you know, as we have discussed forever, they're just a weird group of people because they worry about things they don't like. And they spend so much time and effort on things that they don't like. You know,
but to me, if it has nothing to do with you, and I mean, this dude has not. I mean, I doubt he has with anybody that can get pregnant, 100%, and is obsessed with contraception. Is obsessed with, and gay marriage has nothing to do with transitioning kids. It's mostly heterosexual parents that are taking their kids to the doctor because the kid has said, "Hey, I know I was born a boy, but I think I'm a girl," and vice versa. That's how that conversation starts, because the kids don't really have a language for it. They usually don't. You know, it's something that is hard to explain unless you're trans. But people are aware of the transgender people exist. It's more common knowledge now. And when you're a parent faced with this and you don't understand it, the first place you need to go is probably to the kid's pediatrician and say, "Hey, my kid's telling me this. I don't understand it. I don't really know too much about it except what's on the Google machine. You know, can we sort this out or figure it out?" And then it usually goes from there, and then they usually take them to a child psychologist and, you know, just have conversations. And that's how transitioning for a child happens. But gay marriage didn't create that. There was trans kids way before gay marriage. Because we were all trans kids. I was a trans kid. I didn't come out and I didn't transition as a kid. I was still a trans kid. I was very aware of my femininity. I was very aware that it exists. It just didn't spring up late in life. I just didn't sit down one day and say, I would really like to go through the painful process of transitioning and getting abused everywhere I go. That nobody. One of the reasons a lot of us don't transition till late life is because we know it's going to be rough. It's not something, or in many of us in the LGBT community, especially of our generation, Gen X, didn't come out until adulthood because we knew growing up it would be tough, especially in Texas. Christian and I both were raised in Texas. And so we knew that the obstacle course you had to run was not going to be fun. I mean, there was no out gay people in the military when we grew up. Like, if they found out, they just sent you packing, you know. But anyway, it's just a really bizarre thing. A lot of people online, a lot of people in the press are now calling out school choice for what it is. Jess Piper out of Missouri, that does a lot of reporting and things like that, is openly calling it a scam. And because they know it's leading to the privatization of schools. And so the pushback against Moms Demand Action is going national and going viral and getting very, very aggressive, which is great because they're nothing but a bunch of mom's versions of the Proud Girls, and they're very militant and very insane. And people are starting to call them for what they are, and which is a bunch of fascists trying to destroy the school system. Obviously, who is funding Moms for Liberty is definitely aimed it towards the public school system. You know, it started with the mass. They just go from excuse to excuse, and now they've landed on predominantly trans kids, and I guess books that make kids gay, and everything else. I'm like, hey, I was like, no book made me gay. You know, I mean, I don't know if Cat in the Hat has that kind of effect, or the Little Hungry Caterpillar, or any of the other little childhood books that my mom read to me, or I read myself. You know, like it's almost like Idiocracy, which is set 500 years in the future. They downplay education, and they say readings for fags, and so everybody that can actually read in the future, they punch you in the arm and say, you know, blah blah blah, you know, readings for fags, and because our society's become so dumb, you know, and people talk completely in slang in the future, and it just is falling apart. And we're using a version of Gatorade called Brondo to water our crops. It is to a certain group of people, the conservatives, the Republicans, the MAGAs, that group of people, they're already there. They're already 500 years in the future. I mean, you can't not listen to MTG and just realize, man, she's just dumb. She's just fucking dumber than a bag of dicks. Like she is dumb. Like the fake bleached blonde box kit that she uses, it reveals her nature. I mean, she is just, if you actually just listen to her twist off about stuff, and she's even turning on, you know, her Republican coworkers, and you just listen to some of these people, and that's basically, Bob's for Liberty is basically a whole bunch of MTGs. Like they're quoting Hitler, they're at meetings. They're just going full on fascist. They're just saying, fuck it, you know, hold my beer and watch this. But you got to think at some point, I'm going, well, Hitler was a loser and too big of a coward to face the music on what he did. So he goes and he shoots himself in a bunker. And was known to have a micro penis. And it was real obvious. He had some rage issues that would make any proud girl blush. And it's just very, very bizarre just how cartoonish they are. Like, how so easy they're made fun of. And they've got this unwarranted confidence that they just think, oh, we're so in the right, we're so moral. And they just sound like fucking idiots. They sound like rambling fucking idiots. And, but yeah, I mean, this whole trying to damage public schools, first of all, it's not going to work. Most people, I mean, Florida is probably going to work because Florida is really, really stupid. It's full of a lot of stupid people. And so they'll probably go and privatize their schools. We'll have schools by Amway, which I call Scamway. In Voss will buy a bunch of schools in Florida. And we'll have these little church lemmings and pedophile priests, you know, getting their hands on, which they'll just love. You know, they're licking their chops right now and going, oh my gosh, we get a whole public schools. So think of the possibilities that we have on helping out some little choir boys. You know, but anyway, we're up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Careers in a Truck.
Hey Hey everyone, this is Christian Cano from the Coffee Pan Dulce Show, and I have Jenny Gunn from the Two Queers in a Truck Show. She does want to tell you about these shows that we're going to be dropping periodically whenever we have breaking news. And Jenny, talk about T-Talk.
Hey, T-Talk is basically a short little vignette, probably about 15 minutes long, and we're just going to talk about a single issue that's come up that is needs more timely attention. So they're supposed to be fun, they're supposed to be light. We will do a live version, but we'll also make sure that they're recorded and dropped on your favorite audio podcast and or Facebook as well on both of our platforms, which is Two Queers in a Truck and Coffee Pan Dulce, so that you can watch them at your leisure later on and see what crazy stuff we came up with on an absolute current pressing event. Thanks for watching, and hope you tune in to our T-Talks.
All right, bye, y'all.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying. So enjoy the Two Queers in the Truck on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, boo. Happy time.
And we are back. But I mean, what a weird combination of people. I mean, you think the gamut of conservatives, and they all look about the same too. And they got this same swarmy, stupid look on their face because I guess they don't know what else to do. They're just, I mean, whether it's rapey old Matt Gaetz or Trump or Bannon or any of them, they all sound the same and have no reason to exist in society. Former Twitter employee quits, but not before publicly showing a cake that they made. And it says rate limit exceeded. And it was when they were quitting, so they were making fun of Twitter, throttling down the ability to look at stuff, and just publicly humiliated Twitter, and has the little blue bird on the little cake and swooping up and all that. And I think Twitter's in a lot of trouble. You've got, and we talked about it on our little pop-up show. But I think when employees start quitting, whether it's officially quitting and completely walking away or quiet quitting, and people just aren't logging on. They're not posting like they were on the progressive side, and then the conservatives are going off. They're mad that 100 million of us said, "See ya," and jumped on Threads. The discourse on Threads versus Twitter is like night and day. It's actually fairly calm. You can post and you don't have, 15 Russian bots and 5 or 6 American hillbillies, bunch of conservative inbreeds jumping on you every time that you post something. You can actually have discussions. It's actually fun. People are posting pictures. They're having a good time with it. I do what social media really is intended to do. You get a little bit of information, get a little bit of celebrity gossip. You hang out. You talk to some people that are fairly intelligent, a few that aren't. But there's nobody in there bashing for political reasons. There's nobody over there lopping people over the heads with their bullshit and their COVID conspiracies and their flat earth conspiracies and all the other bullshit that they pull out of their ass and just start making up facts and figures and scare the shit out of people. I guess that's what churches do, is they scare the shit out of people so that you will, burn for eternity. So they make up this hellfire and damnation shit. So I guess the conservatives are used to lying about stuff. They have for 1,600 years since, the Romans made up, Christianity and pulled that out of their asses. And so they've been lying to people for a long time. This is, whether it was the Red Scare or the Puritans, instead of calling women woke, they just called them a witch back then. It's that girl said something smart. And it's counter to what we're saying. So we'll have to call her a witch and we'll have to burn her or dunk her in a tub. Because we can't have women thinking for themselves. Next thing you know, they'll be telling us what to do. And we can't have that. So we got to make something up. It's got to be sinful. It's got to be crazy. Let's call them a witch. Let's just... And it's really not changed much. I mean, now they just do it to trans women. Is that they're essentially, it is the Salem witch hunt all over again, except we're not in Salem anymore. And they don't call us a witch. They call us a lot of other derogatory things. But nothing's founded in science. There's nothing medically sound or truthful what they're saying. That we're going around castrating and sterilizing kids. And all kinds of other stupid stuff. And it's just insane. It's just insane what they say. And kind of illegal. Like lying about medical stuff is illegal. Like you're giving medical opinion when you don't even have a medical license. And it's just bizarre when there's nothing even truthful about what they're saying. But there's enough dumb people on the conservative side of the things that they'll fall for it. They just run around. We got people that heterosexual people over there that have no clue. They don't know anything about trans medicine. They don't know anything about hormones. They don't know that non-trans kids are also on hormones too for various afflictions and reasons. But we'll sit there and spout off that we're castrating kids, sterilizing kids. I'm like, well, then you're going to have a whole bunch of sterile kids. Just like you'll have a whole bunch of sterile adults. There's a ton of adults on hormones. For various reasons. And so it's just a very, very, very bizarre fucking whole mentality that I don't get it, but maybe somebody over there does.
Hey, Jen, I was just going to add what you said about Threads is that I do think that right now Threads is a perfect example of, for the first time in my life at least, the free market working for me. And I think it's proof that we've known this for like the last couple of years, but it's been hard to actually see the data. But we know that the MAGA people, the Matt Gaetz, the MTGs, they can't survive on their own. There's just not enough of them. That the vast majority of people are not like that. And when they switch over to a new platform, it's successful. When they switched over to Truth Social, it wasn't successful because they don't have the numbers. And I do think that it is shocking to them because when they see the success of something like Threads or they see the success of whatever it is, they realize, we really don't have the numbers. I mean, and that's why they get so upset about media and everything else, because the reason that media covers progressive issues is because the advertisers and the people want to go after progressive people because they have the money. They don't go after the people that don't have the money. And I know that sounds bougie, but the reality is in the free market, I mean, they just are in the vast, we can survive without them, but they can't survive without us. And that's, I think that's showing.
Yeah, well, and you're 100% had it on the head, and that's why they're so angry. And now they're popping off on Twitter saying crazier things like this Michael Knowles idiot is they're trying to draw us back because narcissists also need somebody to fight with. That's part of narcissism is the thrill of the fight. I know, I got gaslit by one of my parents, and she needed that fight. She needs that high that you get off that. And conservative Americans are typically narcissists. They're typically combative. They say, they make wild accusations that only project what they're thinking. It's not about you. It's really about them. When you make a wild, unfounded accusation, that's the first thing a conservative narcissist will do, is they make these wild accusations projecting their own perversions because they're obsessed with genitalia. But if you're made up of pedophile pastors and priests and pedophile coaches wanting to inspect kids' genitalia in schools, and you're wanting to marry little girls because you got them pregnant because you sexually assaulted them, and that's why they leave child brides legal in almost every state, is that they fight for that because that's their get out of jail free card, is that a lot of these pedophiles marry 12-year-olds because their choice is marry the little girl that you raped and got pregnant or go to prison. And so that's the only reason you could even think about why you would be a 30-year-old man marrying a 12-year-old girl. Some of these girls were as young as 10. And so the prosecution dies off as soon as you marry the girl, because now it's your fiance that turns into your wife. And so you got a 30-year-old Matt Gaetz marrying a 12-year-old girl. That's why they wanted an abortion, is they want 12-year-old girls and 14-year-old girls and 10-year-old girls pregnant and stupid. And so 20 or 30 years later, after their uterus is falling out of their body because they've had 20 kids, you know, and he's had 15 other mistresses, and probably half of them have been under 18 since then, you know, or in the family, you know, you got one of the older boys molesting the younger girls. You just have this weird Handmaiden Tale, creepy ass deal that you got growing up. That's what they want. That's the future for what they want for young girls. They're not out to defend girls and women. They're out to destroy girls and women and make them sexual slaves. And you got a bunch of these incels, these idiots that have never had a girlfriend in their life that sit around in their grandma and ma's basement, and they're thinking this is what they're going to inherit. They're going to be able to have carte blanche to go be perverts and get themselves a 14-year-old child bride that's just going to do whatever they say. That's why you see this weird pregnancy fetish fantasy and how they talk about pregnancy. I'm like, dude, you've never seen somebody give birth. You've never lived with a pregnant woman. There is nothing magical about it. It is hard on their body. They're irritable. They're going, they may post on Instagram that it's glorious and they got this pregnancy glow. I promise you, childbirth is anything but glorious. It is sweating, it's screaming, it's cussing. They've got murder on their mind. They want to kill whoever got them pregnant. They scream at anybody that's in the room. It's smelly. It's bloody. There is nothing romanticized about childbirth. It is not like in the movies. There is nothing where those babies popped out. All of a sudden, they accidentally gave birth in a restaurant in some kind of rom-com, and all of a sudden this baby's completely clean and just looks, you know, they've already cut the umbilical cord, I guess, with a steak knife and the whole 9 yards. Childbirth is nothing like what you see in the movies. And these idiots want to romanticize it. I'm like, I would tell you, that is all. If you witness child's birth young, like I did, that is the only time I was grateful I wasn't born with ovaries. I'm like, I love to have them, so I didn't have to transition. But the thought of getting pregnant, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. I've seen what somebody's going through when they're pregnant. And the real talk, not the, oh yeah, this is great, I'm fine. Nobody's happy to be pregnant unless you're insane. Unless you're clinically insane and you're from some inbred, rapey Arkansas family, nobody's happy to be pregnant. It's a miserable experience. It's a labor of love because you want to have babies, but it's dangerous. How many women die of it? And if you're a woman of color, it's hard to get health care. They're treated terrible, which makes them not want to get as much health care. And then they have the more complications, and Black women mortality rate is the highest because of this. They get treated, again, a lot of racist white nurses out there, conservative nurses that got educated at church nursing schools, are just extremely problematic. And we just don't talk about that in polite society, but Black women get abused during prenatal care and things like that at a higher than normal rate. And I just know from the stories I've been told, and just really knowing a lot about that subject, and I just really know the tip of the iceberg on why. But we definitely have some problems in this country, and if we're going to push women of all ages to get pregnant, we're going to try to get rid of birth control and contraceptives, because condoms are gay and they're making people gay, I guess. Like books are making people gay, like readings just for the gays. Even though they're trying to get rid of all of us too. Like we talked about last week on this show, the Florida Republican gays are like, oh, he's coming after us now. Like they finished off the trans people, got a lot of them to move out of Florida, and now they're coming after us. And gay men, conservative, dumb gay men are going, oh, certainly he won't turn on us. That rattlesnake won't bite us too. That rattlesnake loves us. And the Leopards Eating Faces party, as Santos, the idiot, and all the other gay Republicans are figuring out, oh, yeah, they're turning on their own. Because that's what Nazis and Confederates and Republicans do, is they always turn on their own. I said that in 2019. I said, what is going to do Trump in is not the Democrat Party, but the Republican Party. Because those type of people are always stupid. Because to be that kind of a bigot, you have to be stupid. You have to believe that somebody's skin color makes them less than human. You have to be stupid. If you think because a man loves a man, that's wrong, you have to be stupid. You can't be that smart. Like, you just have to be really, really dumb to think that the Bible is the only book you need. When it's full of rape and incest and angel rape and nuking cities for no fucking reason and all kinds of other crazy violent stuff in the Bible to scare the shit out of people just so that they can get more donations and control your life, and promising things they don't know anything about. I'm like, you're making some pretty big promises and you're talking to imaginary characters. I don't think I'm going to trust you. Like, that's what prayer is you're talking to an imaginary sky fairy that supposedly made 100 million galaxies, but is worried about gay sex. Okay, that checks out. Like some big old powerful Oz character behind the curtain pushing all these levers going, I'm going to birth that little star over there, and I'm going to make an elephant because the elephants look cool. I think I'm going to put a big old long trunk on them. And by the way, I'm really worried about condoms and gay sex. But I made them gay. So, yeah, that's kind of confusing to me, but we'll go on. We'll skip that topic. But anyway, Elmo exposes himself. Stories are coming out about, and this happened quite a while ago, so this is old news, but it's surfacing like this shit always does, is that he settled with a woman that was a SpaceX employee, so his little penis rocket ship company, SpaceX. He showed his genitalia to this woman, and then he also offered to masturbate a horse for her, to give her a erotic massage. Yeah, our little apartheid Elmo, trust fund baby. And you always know, because he is so homophobic and transphobic, when somebody's calling somebody else pedophiles and perverts, watch out when their shit starts surfacing.
They're projecting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mr. Plastic Surgery himself that's got hair plugs, liposuction, and everything else is hardcore projecting. And so some of the details of the court settlement have been leaked. He paid $250,000 to this employee. They literally pulled down his pants and showed his junk, which, from what I've been told, is no big deal. Shouldn't see that much. I look like two belly buttons. But also that he offered to masturbate a male horse for an erotic massage, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that he was wanting to do it. Now, how you leap from, hey, I'm your boss, we're going to build these penis-shaped rocket ships, to, here's my junk, to, like, I don't know how that conversation went, how long it took, but how do you go there? Would you like to see a horse get masturbated? By me, your boss. Hey, surprise, happy birthday. But what a bizarre, even if one of those stories is true, which obviously paid this person $250,000 out of court to, I guess, some sort of hush money, or they didn't want the civil suit to go public. Of course, this shit always goes public. This always surfaces at some point. Like the internet's forever. You cannot squash everything. You eventually, this kind of, like something that unsavory is going to get out sooner or later. Just like the Carol, deal with the department store sexual assault and things like that Trump did against her. It's always going to surface. Eventually, there's going to be pictures of him fondling his daughter. There's eventually going to be pictures leaked out. We've had camera phones for a hot minute now, for almost 20 years, some kind of version. Even though flip phones had little cameras on them. And so eventually you're going to, whatever you've done, we saw that with the Bush cousin, Billy Bush, and I grabbed her by the, that surfaced. There's something out there, and obviously Elmo has it too. People are putting little memes about it on Twitter, and he's taking them down as fast as they're putting them up. But eventually, he's not going to be able to stop them all. And eventually, the talk of this is catching like wildfire. Because as little as I've been on Twitter, I've seen it on Twitter. I also saw it on Threads. And so he can't control Threads. He can't take anything or moderate anything on Threads. And so it's a big deal, and Elmo's days are coming. You knew when he started going transphobic and considering he has a trans daughter, you knew eventually you were going to hear something freaky deaky. And so clearly the rumor has it that he's into bestiality, that he is a pervert flasher. And so he probably runs around his Tesla plant going, hey, look at my junk with the trench coat on too. there's nothing shocking. I mean, if he's going to do it at SpaceX, a place that he doesn't even run on a daily basis, you got to imagine the Google stories and now Twitter stories are going to start coming out, because they say he's a maniac. They say working with him is horrible. And we've seen how irrationally he just fires staffs and stuff like that. So essentially, he's just he's just another version of Trump, just younger and South African. So I think there's going to be a lot now that he's falling. There's a unique thing about Americans. We worship somebody to a certain point, but once we realize they're going to take a hard fall, we kick you all the way down the ladder. We've got a very vindictive side. We're one of the most generous nations on earth. We're also one of the most cruel. We'll bomb the fuck out of you just for shits and giggles. So I mean, it's kind of one of our sports is that we'll go in and rescue 6,000 stranded orphans in Thailand, but we'll murder you too. It's a uniquely American trait. But we'll be right back with some more Two Queers in the Truck.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Queers in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show.
So Charlie Kirk is going off, another, one of the many deals. He's saying like really weird stuff. Not that other Michael dude, I forget his name already. They all look the same to me. Like, some are fatter and some are skinnier, but they all are starting to sound the same. If you actually listen to their shit, because they all say the same thing: woke, commie, socialist, homo, tranny. Like, they have about 10 or 12 words in their entire vocabulary they fixate on. Pedophile. What else? And so Charlie Kirk this last week was going off about the gay mafia. And I guess I didn't know this, and I didn't know, Christian, I guess you don't know about this either. We have a mafia. I'm fucking pissed. The fact that the gays have a fucking Goodfellas group. Like a little short Joe Pesci that wears a pink suit instead and throws glitter right before they deep six him into Lake Norman. Like, where's this been? I mean, if Charlie Kirk's right and we have a gay mafia, I want to meet them. Like on the gay side of Vegas or something. Like, I want to hear them, in a gay voice going, "I'll give you an offer you can't you refuse." Like, wait. I mean, come on. Like, I feel cheated. I feel misled. I did not know we had a mafia. I'm so glad that Charlie Kirk exists, and he can tell me that there's a gay mafia, because this is really important stuff. Like, why don't they march in the parades? Why don't they own any sanitation companies like all the regular mafias do? I mean, why don't we get to extort certain businesses, that we really like, and wine shops? And, I could just see them now leaning on a wine shop owner.
So what's his, because that is a conspiracy that has been around for a long time. It was even a skit on Will and Grace. They did an episode about the secret gay mafia. Yeah. So what's his like,
I guess, because,
theory, or what's his?
It goes along the same, because they're obsessed with trans kids now, that the gay mafia pushes big pharma and Big Pharma really wants to transition people because they make so much money off transitioning people, and they also call it big medical too, but the gay mafia is trying to make everybody gay. Because again, they go by the idea that the gay mafia, and I've heard us call the alphabet mafia, even though they probably don't know the alphabet themselves. But like these are mostly illiterates and inbreeds that are making these wild accusations. But it's always when they're talking about their conspiracy theories and how we control the media, it switches from Jewish people and space lasers to the gay mafia. Like they're, and just like in the 1950s and 60s, I'll say it again and again, they're the same people. Their grandparents were the same idiots that were talking about there's a communist in every corner, and the Jewish bankers are trying to make us communists and blah, blah, blah. And they don't know what they're talking about. And they just run all these ideas together because they have no original ideas. But, the fact that the gays are working with the commies and I guess the Chinese and with Big Pharma, and, probably maybe we even have our own space lasers now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the gay mafia accusation's been around. Some version of it has been around forever. When they were using the word politically correct. Oh, the gays are trying to make us politically correct so that we'll behave and we won't act like a bunch of monkeys throwing their own shit at people. And even though they throw their own shit at people. But anyway, this is probably one of the funniest stories. House Republicans, just this last week, was actually the week that we're recording this, wants to do away with electric vehicles in the military. And they've said all the reasons why, and they're all like all these crazy deals, but they've submitted 4 or 5 bills, and it's the normal Boberts, Paul Gassars, all the idiots I guess it's the Freedom Caucus or whatever MTG got kicked out of. But they've posed 4 or 5 bills. They don't want to research electric batteries anymore. They don't want to buy any more vehicles. They don't want to maintain them. They want to try to phase them out. Now, they're always the ones with the conspiracy theories that people are working for big oil or big pharma or anything like that. But clearly, they don't understand why the military uses electric vehicles, both in combat and non-combat uses. For one, the U.S. military is the largest single polluter in the world, evidenced by the burn pits and the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans getting affected by that. That's the thing. And if we all remember back to Vietnam, Agent Orange, that my dad was exposed to, that later in life got cancer. And it was directly probably from Agent Orange and Agent Orange exposure when he was there. The military's always used chemicals. They've always used toxic materials. But now they're embracing electric technology for several reasons. One, if it is a combat vehicle, electric vehicles run silent. That's a little easier to sneak up on somebody, which is the whole idea of combat. You don't want to, it's not like 1776 and we got George Washington and we got one dude carrying the flag that is probably going to get shot first. The dude next to him is going to get shot because he's sitting there beating the drum and, and they're playing a flute and going, hey, we would love to be for target practice for the British. That's not how combat works now. So we got like drones and sneaky vehicles and, the whole idea of stealth fighters and stealth bombers and all those little things. And, destroyers in the Navy that can shoot lasers and all kinds of other high-tech shit that we don't even know that they're cooking up or already using. But one of them is electric technology, EV technology, because, quite frankly, it's better for combat. And they're figuring out how to do rapid charging in the field, and they're developing better and better technologies because, hey, it's good for the environment. It's good for business, for killing people, breaking things. And they also use it for like vehicles on a military installation because they can charge those things overnight. They don't use vehicles all night long. And so their little Jeeps and other vehicles, military installations usually aren't that large to where if it's got a 200-mile charging range for some kind of transport or something and they're running errands around the base and stuff, that's going to cover it for a day or two. Like, you're not going to drive more than 200 miles on most military installations. So it just makes sense, instead of using polluting fossil fuels, use fucking electric vehicles. But House Republicans, that's too woke. That makes way too much sense for the military. And that we don't want no woke military. We don't want them thinking. We absolutely don't want the military thinking, because then next thing you know, the gay mafia takes over the military and the trans mafia takes over the military, and it's all over but the crime. So no drag shows for the military, no fun of any kind, no cool electric vehicles, which is better for our planet because we want global warming. And it's not hot enough in Austin, Texas right now. We need it about 10 degrees hotter, because who doesn't want to cook a baked potato in their own fucking car? But that is it for Two Queers in a Truck. Had to cut it a little short. We were running over. And we'll just cue the music and dance our way out. Enjoy July. Be safe out there, especially in the hot zone. Bye, baby. Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Two Queers in the Truck. Y'all be safe out there. It is dangerously hot in some parts of the country. Make sure you drink water and taste your dog. Happy July. Bye, babe.
Bye, boo.